Many foreign workers plan their China move in two stages. First, they focus on their own work status. Then, after they arrive, they think about bringing a spouse, children, or other family members. That order feels natural. One person moves first, settles in, finds an apartment, starts work, and then the family follows. But in China planning, family status is not just something that starts after the main applicant is finished. It is often a parallel track. That means the family file may depend on the main applicant's work and residence status, but it also has its own documents, its own timing, and its own risks. If those pieces are checked too late, the family may not be blocked by one big problem. They may be blocked by several small dependencies that were invisible at the beginning. Here are the checks that matter. The first check is S1 or S2 logic. For family visits and family residence, S1 and S2 are not just two labels on a form. They usually reflect different stay duration purposes. Commonly, S1 is connected with longer stays over 180 days, while S2 is connected with shorter stays up to 180 days. Why does this matter? Because the family plan should match the real plan. If a spouse and children expect to live in China for the school year, that is not the same planning logic as a short visit during a holiday. If the stay purpose, stay length, and post-entry expectation do not match, the family may arrive with the wrong assumptions about what has to happen next. The second check is the post-entry window. For long-term family residence, entry is not always the end of the file. Family members may still need to complete post-entry procedures after arriving in China, including residence permit handling within the applicable window. This is where timing pressure appears. If the main applicant is still waiting for their own residence permit, if housing records are not ready, or if family documents are incomplete, the family timeline can become compressed very quickly. The third check is relationship documents. Marriage certificates, birth certificates, name differences, old passports, translations, notarization, authentication, and document format issues can all become part of the file. This is not only a paperwork question, it is a dependency question. If a child's birth certificate uses a different spelling of a parent's name, or if a marriage certificate needs preparation in another country, or if a document has to be translated and authenticated, that work may take time before the family can move smoothly. The mistake is discovering this after the main applicant has already entered China and rented housing based on a family plan that is not document-ready. The fourth check is work limitation. Dependent or family status does not automatically allow work. This point is often missed because families talk about relocation as one move. The employee moves, the spouse comes, the children start school, and daily life begins. But if the spouse also wants to work in China, that is not just a family status issue. It becomes a separate work status question. The spouse may need their own eligible employer, position logic, work permit process, and residence status arrangement. Treating family residence as a shortcut to work can create illegal employment risk. The fifth check is housing. Family relocation usually needs more than a temporary landing address. Housing can affect accommodation registration, residence permit processing, school planning, commuting, lease records, and district expectations. A short-term apartment may be fine for the main applicant's first week, but it may not support the family file. This is especially important when children are involved. The apartment is not only where the family sleeps, it may become part of the school plan, the registration plan, and the residence document record. The sixth check is school timing. Children's education planning has its own calendar. Public schools, private bilingual schools, and international schools may all have different admission logic. Some may require early applications, prior school records, assessments, translations, residence records, or address consistency. That means the school question should not begin after the family arrives. It should be checked while the family timeline is still flexible. Now put these checks into one typical scenario simulation. A foreign employee receives an offer in China and focuses on the main work status process first. The employer prepares the China side materials. The employee waits for the work permit notification. The overseas visa submission is planned. The family agrees that the employee will enter first, begin work, rent an apartment, and then bring the spouse and child later. On paper, this feels controlled. But after the employee arrives, the family track starts showing its own problems. The spouse's marriage document needs authentication before it can support the family file. The child's birth certificate uses an older spelling of the employee's name, so the document has to be reviewed more carefully. The apartment chosen by the employee is convenient for the office, but it does not fit the family's school plan. The nearby school has an admission window that is already moving. At the same time, the main applicant's residence permit is taking longer than expected, so the family file is waiting behind the main file. None of these issues is dramatic by itself, but together they change the move. The family did not fail because they ignored everything. They failed because they treated family relocation as step 2, when it should have been a parallel file from the beginning. So here is the useful framework to save. Family parallel track. 1. S1 or S2 purpose. 2. Relationship documents. 3. Dependency on the main applicant's work and residence status. 4. Housing and address records. 5. School timing. A sixth practical question is also worth adding. Does any family member expect to work? If yes, do not hide that inside the family plan. Separate it early, because work status has its own rules. The main lesson is this: bringing family to China is not only about whether they can join you, it is about whether their documents, status, housing, school plan, and timing can move together without one weak link delaying the rest. Public, private, bilingual, and international schools are not only different price points, they can create different eligibility and timing paths.